right, well, I guess it's bedtime. So like I said, if you have a black handy, you only need one. So just something to get you up. And as usual, the mailman has not come yet, and I hear the dog whining up there. So this might be interesting. And we're going to start today with a little bit of breath work. So any seat that's comfortable for you, maybe your hero shape or your crisscross applesauce, or if you happen to have that block handy, you can sit up on that and just let your eyes close. Try to, I know it's hard when you're at home, but try to create a little bit of space between you and the rest of everything that's happening. So maybe concentrate on your seat, on the mat, and then bring your hand, one hand, it doesn't matter which one, to your heart space and one hand to your belly. And then as you find your way there, sitting up nice and tall, let the shoulders relax down your back. And then breathing in to a count of 4, or maybe 5 if you have more lung capacity. Breathing all the way in and trying to do it through a closed nose or through a closed mouth. And then pausing at the top, holding for a count of 3. So 1 less than your inhale. And then as you exhale, exhaling a little bit longer than that inhale. So 1 more. Pause at the bottom for that count of 3. And then inhale, count of 4. Pause for 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 5, 4. Really ringing it out. 3, 2. Pause. Inhale. And keep breathing like this. We call this box breath. Inhaling, pause, exhaling. And find your own rhythm. If you become distracted or something grabs your attention, just come back to it. Creating length through the spine, sitting up nice and tall, rooting down through the sits bones. And then eventually letting the hands come down to rest on the lap and just find a nice easy breath. So no technique here, just in and out. Focusing today on the affirmation that everything is temporary and it's going to be okay. Everything is temporary. This too shall pass. So whether it's your yoga pose, your situation, everything changes. That's the nature of life. And then allow your eyes to blink open. Let's take a few stretches here just to kind of get the wiggles out. So let's start with a nice easy twist to the side. Doesn't matter which way you go. I'm going to the left first, looking out over your left shoulder. Sit up nice and tall though. Find that big in-breath as you lift up through the crown of the head and look over the shoulder. And then as you exhale, unwind, unravel, and go all the way to the other side. Looking out over the back shoulder. Again, when you come to that inhale, find that length. And then exhale back through center. Relax the shoulders here. Taking a few rounds of neck stretches, just gentle rolling of the head around the shoulder. Maybe back and forth from right to left. Maybe all the way around. Whatever calls to you here. Working the kinks out of your weekend. Maybe you got some extra work in that challenged some muscles that you aren't used to using. Lifting your head up, crawling under my bed to get all the dust bunnies out of there. All right, let's go ahead and bring the hands around behind you. Interlace the fingers, squeeze shoulder blades together. Keep that little bend in the elbows. keep the hands on your lower back as you squeeze the elbows back behind you and open up the shoulders. Nice. And if it feels good to you here, you can bring the chin right down towards the collarbone and notice how that really opens up the upper back. It's a little strange, maybe. And then go ahead and release the arms, release the head. We're going to work into the hips a little bit. We're going to hold, I call this Vin. We do some long held deep stretches, and then we flow a little bit, and then we do another deep stretch. And with that, nothing is a permanent thing, everything is temporary. So switching out your legs, if you were sitting crisscross applesauce, coming to your double pigeon, we call it, which is the shins stacked on top of each other. This shape isn't for everyone. So if that's not for you, you can either come to a bound angle with the feet together, the knees splayed out wide, or just to a simple crisscross applesauce. You won't get quite as deep into the hips with either of those, but it'll still start to open you up nice and gently. If you're in that double pigeon, it's ankle over knee, knee over ankle, flexing through the feet. Use your hands to prop you up as you lift up out of the spine and then start to hinge forward. So you'll feel it right away. It's going to light up into the hip area. You can start to walk your hands forward as you fold down over the shins. Now we're going to be here for a little bit. So remember, it's temporary. The discomfort you feel is part of creating lasting change, right? So maybe just breathe into it. You can come back to that box breath, keeping those long inhale and exhale and kind of those shorter pauses in between. I guess it's probably more of a rectangle than a box. And then as we start to work into this shape, you can fold down over the legs. As you warm up into it, you find that your muscles kind of give way. You can start to slide down closer and closer to the floor. Maybe the elbows come all the way down. Maybe you're not quite there yet. Sorry, we have another side to work into, so we'll get that chance. One more deep breath here. Inhale nice and long. Create the length. Pull belly button to spine and then hinge from the hips. Your deepest fold. Whatever that looks like for you. And then go ahead and walk the hands back to push yourself up. We're going to find our way to a straddle split. So it's just what it sounds like, a nice V shape with the legs for most of us. I don't know, maybe some of us might have an actual T shape, or an I guess that would be. Whatever it is, you want to find that straddle split. We're going to go to the left first. So turn so that your heart is facing the left knee and walk your hands down, finding your version of this fold. So as soon as that right hip starts to come off the mat, back out of it, you're too far. You want to keep both hips really rooted on the floor and keep a nice flat back as you hinge and fold. So flexing the toes back towards the face will help you to find a little bit of space here. We're going to take 3 breaths in this shape before we turn it just a little bit. Keep pressing down. You can even bring your right hand to your hip. Put a little bit of extra weight there. Keep aiming nose to knee. And now, if you want to, you can start to slide this left hand down. I like to reach across the leg, grab onto the arch, and then peel that right shoulder open. So now we're opening up, looking up towards the sky or the ceiling, and you're bringing your left ribs towards your leg. So this is enough most of the time for most of us. You want to be careful not to fold in on yourself. You want to stay upright, and then maybe just even start to reach that right arm up. And if you're really stretchy, you'll reach overhead. But if that creates tension, just keep that hand right on that hip and look up. And then come back through center. Very nice. We're going back to that double pigeon on the other side. So left leg is on the bottom, right leg is on top this time. at least for me. If it feels very familiar, try the other side. And then same thing, now we know where we're going. We're not going to talk so much into it. Just start to hinge and fold. Perhaps this side is more accessible right from the jump because we've already started to warm up. It's not. Again, if you're up high, that's fine. You just want to get that feeling that you're folding over the legs. You'll get a nice stretch through the lower back here. So the whole upper butt area, right where the back meets your seat, you'll feel a nice stretch there. Then go ahead and work your way back up. We're going to take that straddle split one more time, other side, so that we don't walk in circles, being all uneven and all. And then turning, cramp, and then turning, looking over that right leg, and then hinging down. Again, keeping the left hand on the left hip if you need to, and then walking the legs towards the toes. Head is super heavy. Aiming nose towards knee. And then go ahead and walk your hands back up just enough so that you can slide that right hand to the inside of that right foot, or the outside if it makes more sense to you, and peel that left shoulder open, and then start to hinge. This is an oblique move, so it's more side to side than forward and back. And look up perhaps. Again, if you did it on the other side and it feels good, you might lift the arm here and reach overhead. And everybody has an imbalance, so it doesn't mean anything if you can't quite get it on one side, but it's totally easy on the other. It's just how we're built. All right, come on back up. We're going to sweep the legs to the back of the mat, the hands to the front of the mat, and find our way all the way to a down-facing dog right off the bat. So take your time getting there. Feet can stay about hip width for this first one. It's the first one of the day. Hands are about shoulder width. Fingers are splayed nice and wide. You're gripping with your fingertips. And then maybe bending the right knee, push the left heel towards the mat. Bend the left knee, press the right heel towards the mat. Bend both knees, come up onto your toes, press your hips up towards the sky, and then work the heels towards the mat. And relax your shoulders. Take a look up at your hands, and as many steps as it takes me about 6 to get my feet right behind my wrists and melt down over the legs. If you're really tight, if this is the first thing you've done today, you might have to bend the knees and let the head be super heavy. You can play around with rocking forward and back until you find your center here where you're evenly spaced all through the toes, the heels, the sides of your feet. And then we're going to root to rise. So pressing down into the feet, reaching the arms nice and wide as you lift all the way up, pressing palms together at the top. Hands come to heart center, and take a nice big breath here. Inhaling, finding length through the crown of the head. Exhale, let everything you don't need just melt away. So all of those long held yin poses, if that's not your thing, temporary. We're gonna flow a little bit, which is also temporary. So if you don't like one, just wait, we got something else coming. Inhale, reach the hands all the way up, press palms together at the top, and then drag the hands down the middle, bend the knees, fold all the way down, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. We're stepping back with the right foot way long into that crescent warrior shape. Reach all the way up with the arms. Inhale to lift. So if you're really tight in through the hips, bend that back knee. Otherwise, press it forward or press it back and keep your hips forward. Look up maybe. Find this length, relax your shoulders. Fold hands can flip. For this first one, we're coming to tabletop. So hands and knees. Hands are right underneath the shoulders, knees are right underneath the hips, toes are curled. We're going to press into the feet, lift the knees off the mat, and find a little baby crouching, or I guess floating table, I guess we'd call it. Hips come back into your downward facing dog. Heels come to the mat. So you can modify like that through the whole class if you like. Right leg is going to step forward this time. So now we're in that crescent on the other side. Magic how I got that right. Let's look up, sink low. You guys, the longer we're in quarantine, the more I talk to myself. It's getting pretty sad. Look up, relax your shoulders. And then we're going to come down on that exhale straight into that tabletop. So stepping back into that tabletop, keep the knees floating off the mat, relax through the upper back and create tension in the belly. Let's find our way to the downward dog. Heels to the mat. Look up towards the hands. Let's take those steps, maybe only 4 this time. Forward fold at the top of the mat, and then sweep the arms nice and wide, reach all the way up. Press palms together, hands to heart center. 2 more times, just like that, a little bit quicker. Inhale, reach. Exhale, fold. Even though we're going quicker, we're not losing our form. Inhale, half lift. Left foot steps back this time, then right into that floating table. Push back to downward facing dog, straighten the legs, drop the head. Left leg reaches forward, coming all the way up into that crescent. And then both hands down, stepping forward this time, forward fold. Inhale, root to rise all the way up. And then exhale, we're sweeping right back down. Inhale, half lift. We'll go back to that right leg steps back into that crescent, reach all the way up. Exhale, both hands down either side of that foot into the floating table. Exhale, and then inhale, downward facing dog. Right leg comes forward, crescent other side, reach all the way up. Nice. And then both hands down either side of that front foot, step forward. Maybe big toes touch here, maybe not. We're coming into chair. I prefer a little space between my feet, and then reach the arms all the way out in front of you. Nice, relax your shoulders. If that creates tension, keep your hands right here, heart center. Otherwise, come all the way up. Nice, and then exhale, forward fold. Gonna get a little tricky. Go ahead and step your right foot behind your left and then sit all the way down onto your mat. So we're coming into our half Matsyasana, or half Lord of the Fishes. Right leg is unfolded underneath you, left leg is on top. Left hand reaches behind, right arm reaches up. This is another yin shape, so we're going to hold this for a moment. You're going to twist, look out over that left shoulder, hook the right elbow on the left leg, and look behind you. So you want to make sure, now you'll notice I'm like popped way up here. You want to bring the hips down evenly onto the floor. Look out over the back shoulder, and then maybe even wrap that left arm around behind you. If you have the space, you can bring the right arm underneath. I have Tyrannosaurus Rex arms, so that doesn't work for me. And then look out your left, over your left shoulder. So if this twist is too much, you have options. You don't have to go quite as deep. You can wrap the arm around the front, but we're going to be here for a while. So find your version of the twist that gives you the most right now. And by the most, I mean deepest pose, still holding onto your breath. Even though it's a twist, it's going to be a little choppy. It's still even and choppy. Into the seat. See if you can let the legs kind of anchor themselves there. About 5 more rounds of breath here. What can you relax? This pose is very temporary. We're only doing it one time, one side, and we'll do it another time on another side. It's going to be a completely different pose. Man, it's gonna feel good to unwind. 3, 2, and then unravel. Bring your hands to the top of your mat, and we're going to step right into a forward fold. So however you want to get there, however much maneuvering it takes, and then just melt down over the left. Keeping a nice flat back here, maybe bending the knees slightly. Feet, again, are about maybe 2 fingers width apart. Head is super heavy. You can reach around behind if you have the space and grab onto opposite elbows behind you, maybe rocking and rolling forward and back. Head is heavy. Promise I won't leave you hanging. You don't have to look up at the screen. Go ahead and release the hands. Find a flat back here. So lift up, push the hips away from your head, and then exhale, sit low, reach long, back into that chair pose. Again, temporary. And then forward fold all the way down. Left foot steps behind the right. And so this is gonna end up twisting you behind me. Whatever you wanna do, you can spin yourself all the way around, or you can look back. Doesn't matter, you don't need to see where we're going. And take that twist to the other side. So right arm reaches behind you, left arm either hooks around the front or over the top of that knee, and you look out over that back shoulder. So the back shoulder for me is the right shoulder this time. Make sure the hips are both rooted on the mat. So if you're lifting up out of the right hip to try and find that path of least resistance, just work your way back down. Maybe taking that right arm, wrapping it around behind you. Look over the back shoulder. Now to get the most out of these long held poses, anywhere from 2 minutes to 20 minutes. Obviously 45 minutes to work with, so we're not going to hold anything for 20 minutes, but you could, if you had the time, you could find a couple of these shapes throughout your day and see how it challenges your mind and your body to hold a shape for 20 minutes. And yes, Shavasana counts if you don't fall asleep. Look out over the back shoulder. Keep rooting that right hip down. We have 5, 4, a little deeper through the twist. Don't cheat yourself on that last breath. 2, and then unwind, unravel. So we're going back to that forward fold at the top of the mat. So just sweep your legs behind you, hands plant, and then walk the feet forward. Melt down over the legs, maybe shake it out, bending right and left, whatever feels kind of good for you here. And then sweep the arms nice and wide and reach all the way up. Inhale to lift, press palms together, hands at heart center, close the eyes. Feel how nice it is to be upright again. Take a nice big breath. We're going to flow again, a little bit different than we did last time. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up. Exhale, melt down over the legs. Inhale, half lift. Whatever leg makes sense for you right now, we're just going to step that one back. I'm going left leg first so that my back isn't to you, and windmill open into warrior 2. Right hand forward, left hand back. So if you're on a slippery mat, you might walk the feet a little bit closer together. If your mat isn't quite so slippery, you might sink a little bit lower. Relax your shoulders. So the next time we go through this, we're going to go a little bit quicker. So really take your time with this pose. I'm not there to correct you, so you have to self-correct. Root down through that right heel. Knee is right over the ankle. Your right knee is pushing back, and then that left leg is lifting up off of the floor. Shoulders out of your ears. Let's go ahead and reverse this warrior. Sweep the arm up and back, left arm down, and then exhale, both hands come down either side of that front foot. Sweep this right leg all the way back. into that tabletop or your plank shape. So if you want to advance, come right to your plank, and then your chaturanga, up dog, and down dog. Of course, it's up to you. You don't have to do it that way. You can do that tabletop. Left leg is going to step forward between the hands. Find your way to that warrior two. Plant that right foot down, windmill the hands open, sink into the shape. Again, we're going to take time to build the pose from the ground up. Lift the arches off the mat by rooting down through the blades of the feet, and then settle your shoulders down. Relax your shoulders. Look out over the left hand. If you have a shiny surface somewhere, camera, you could see if your arms are floating up or down. Try to keep your wrists in line with your elbows, in line with your shoulders. Reverse the warrior, and then sweep both hands down either side of that front. Do your vinyasa or skip it if you don't want it. Everybody meets in downward dog. Head is heavy. Take a look up at the hands. Right leg reaches up and open. Push the left heel towards the mat. Bring that knee in towards the nose. Step between the hands. Windmill open, warrior two. We're going to add on and go a little bit faster. Inhale, reverse this warrior. Exhale, find your way to triangle. Straighten the leg. Hinge, bring that right hand down, left hand up. So getting into those obliques again. Inhale, reverse the triangle, right leg stays straight. Exhale, both hands down either side of that front foot. Right leg all the way up and open, three-legged dog. And then place that foot down through your vinyasa. Nice. All right, here we go. Other side. Left leg reaches up and open. Push the right. Look up towards the hands. Find your way to that warrior two. Windmill up and open. Reverse. Triangle shape. Straighten the leg. Hinge. Fold. Nice. Reverse triangle. And then both hands down either side of that front foot. Left foot up and open. Three-legged dog. And then place that foot down. One more time through. A little bit quicker. Right leg up. Step through. Warrior two. Reverse. Right into that triangle. Straighten the leg. Hinge from the hips. Inhale. Reverse the triangle. A lot of core there. Both hands down. Skip the vinyasa if you don't want it. Otherwise, any flair you'd like to add. I took out the three-legged dog myself. The left leg reaches up, steps between the hands. Warrior two. Reverse the warrior. This is the last time, I promise. Straight leg, triangle shape. Reverse the triangle. And then both hands down. This time we're going to step back. No vinyasa here, right into your plank. And then we're coming all the way down to the mat. All right, so your right hand is across the top of your mat. We're just going to reach back, bend that left leg, and grab onto that left ankle with your left hand. So if you have an open shoulder here, if you're feeling really open, you're gonna grab the inside of the foot. If your shoulder's a little tight, you're gonna grab the top of the foot or the outside. You can bring your forehead down your arm and pull the heel in towards the hip, or whatever makes sense for you here. You can be a little bit higher in this shape, but then it becomes the back bend and you don't quite get the stretch through the quads. You want to bring that heel right towards the hip. Again, it's going to take a moment before it gets there. I don't know if you guys can see, mine's got probably about 4 or 5 inches. Taking your time here, we have about 5 more rounds of breath. Keep adding that pressure. So it's a passive hold, but you're still adding resistance. Nice. And because there is a back bend there, without becoming a slingshot, just let go of that right or left foot. Use your hands to help you. Curl the toes under and sit back into your child's pose. So all the way back to the back of your mat. Melt over the legs, forehead comes down. And then right out to the other side. So walking back out, lowering down to the mat. Left arm comes across the top of the mat. You release your toes and bring the right arm back. Grab onto the right foot anywhere you can get. So the closer you walk your knees towards each other, the more of a stretch you're going to get on that right quad or thigh or whatever you want to call it, the front of that right leg. Your hip points are even on the mat here. So try not to roll over towards the left or find that path of least resistance that we like to do. All in all, we're here for about a minute and a half. You can rest your forehead on the forearm. And then go ahead and release that foot again without becoming a slingshot. Bring your toes down to the mat, curl them under your hands, come underneath your shoulders. We're coming up to our plank shape. So our high plank, use your arms, your knees, however you want to get there. Feet can be about shoulder or hip width, hands or shoulder width. We're going to flow up into our downward facing dog. Hips come up and back, heels come towards the mat. And then roll forward, come up onto the toes, roll forward back into that plank shape. Nice. 4 more times, just like that. Inhale up and back. And then exhale, roll forward. Nice. Inhale up and back. Heels come towards the mat. Relax the shoulders. Inhale. And then the last one. All the way up. Downward facing dog. Heels come towards the mat. Maybe walk your feet a little bit closer if you need to. And then roll forward, finding your way. High push up. Both knees come down. And we're just going to sweep our legs around in front of us. And have your block handy or whatever it is that you're going to use. We're coming to our bridge shape. So feet are hip width. You're coming all the way down on the mat. And then bringing the arms by your side. So a little bit active to begin with here. Feet are hips width, your heels are under your knees or even a little bit forward of your knees if that feels good for you. And we're just going to lift up just about maybe, I don't know, what's 3-4 inches. So just enough so that you can slide your hands underneath your hips. So we're going to do what's called a hip up. You're going to root down through the heels. You can eat your toes off the mat. I'm not sure if you can see, but my toes are floating off the mat. And you're going to reach right hip and then left hip. So creating this little U shape as you lift up, going from side to side. So like little salsa hips, but you're in a bridge. All right. So you don't want to swing way wide. It's literally just up and up. So if I was in a very small space, so if you put your arms, your hands right next to your hips, you're just going to graze the hip inside the hand from side to side. And then here we go. We've got 10, 9, 8, it's temporary, 7, doesn't feel like it, but it is. This is 5, 3, keep going, don't cheat yourself, last 2, last 1, and hold up. Root down through the heels, lift the hips up. So now we're coming into our bridge shape. You can plant the feet if you like, otherwise keep pressing those heels, keep the toes lifted, and walk the hands underneath. Once you get the hands underneath, interlace hips, and then push all 4 corners of the feet down as you lift the hips up, finding that nice bridge shape. Very nice. Go ahead and release the hands. If you have your block handy, this is a great time to slide that block underneath your hips and lower down. So again, you can come just down to the floor if that feels good, or come onto a pillow or a folded towel or blanket. If you want, you can extend your legs long down the mat and get a really nice front body stretch. I'm going to stay with my traditional bridge up on the block, and this is an inversion. So anytime you get your hips over your heart is considered an inversion. So the same as doing like a handstand or fancy arm balance, any of those kinds of things. And we do inversions to take a different perspective. So to look at something from a different point of view, to maybe get some circulation going into the brain, into the heart. See what comes up for you here. And just become, so you're like a little ski ramp, relaxing down into the shape. If anything becomes uncomfortable, go ahead and move out of it. Otherwise, let the eyes close. Let your hips be heavy on the block. It's another one of those long held yin shapes. When I'm in this shape, I like to interlace my fingers and let them just rest on my belly. I like the it creates pulling me down towards the earth. But if that's not for you, you can keep your hands down by your side or whatever feels good for you here. Be careful not to turn the head too much in this shape. There's some weight on the neck. You don't want to create any discomfort or kinks. Don't want to cause any injuries. So just looking straight up. I would recommend closing your eyes so you're not tempted to find fault with your ceiling paint job. And I've noticed that in home practice, this is the shape that more than any other attracts the household livestock. So dogs and cats, they like this shape. Remember, it's temporary. Release if you're clenching your jaw, release the teeth, the tongue fall away from the roof of the mouth. Maybe open your mouth, wiggle it side to side. No tension in the jaw. And then go ahead and release any bind that you might have. Press the heels into the mat, lift hips up off your block, move it out of the way. That's the last you need of it. And then lower back down all the way to the mat. And bring your knees over towards the left. Let them fall towards the side. And then over towards the right. And back through center. And find your way into your Shavasana shape. Feet are down towards each corner, right foot, right corner, left corner. Arms are by your side, palms are up. Shoulders are melting into the mat. And then just let your breath go. If you're having trouble focusing here, remember the affirmation, everything is temporary. Everything is temporary. And change becomes the catalyst for hope. Whatever the new thing is that's coming might be pretty exciting. If it's not, it's just temporary. Start to add some movement to your fingers and your toes. Maybe rocking your head from side to side. And then walking your feet towards your body so that your knees bend. And then maybe rolling over towards one side or the other, whichever way makes sense. Finding your way maybe towards any seat that's comfortable. Taking the time here to settle into this upright shape. Everything is temporary. Days, although they feel like forever, they really are temporary. No two of them are exactly the same, even though it feels like it right now. Perhaps it might feel really nice to have somewhat of a to-do list, regardless of how short it is. Maybe it's 2 items, just giving yourself a task, something to accomplish. Maybe it's very simple, like get out of your sweatpants, put on jeans instead of yoga pants. Whatever it is, give yourself a little bit of a task list every day. And then watch yourself check them off or scratch them off, delete them, whatever it is. And remember that this too. Hands together if you like, maybe bow your head if you choose. Thank you so much for joining me on today's Tuesday. I think it's the 21st, and it's April. Have a fabulous rest of your week. Namaste.